next, like, 7th grade. All right, so she has ELA. She has 120 minutes of direct. Okay, this is okay for 7th grade. The only thing that we're kind of moving towards is in class minutes. So if we could start changing our 7th grade minutes to in class minutes for ELA.
Okay. For ELA, let me write this.
If it's resource,
No, no.
Okay, we'll say it one more time. So for ELA, we're gonna change to in-class support?
Yes,
And this is just for.
this is just for ELA combo.
Like pull out. what-
Pull out. So I'm gonna put ELA combo in the,
You can keep everything the same, we're just going to the comment area.
yeah, well, I put ELA combo, so I know this is a student that's getting that in gen ed class support. And I changed the service type to in class. Now, for the student that you were working on, she's resource, so you
50 minutes, I'm not messing with that.
correct.
Gotcha.
Okay,
I didn't mess with it.
okay, I was like, let me,
No,
I just, all I did, do you want me to go back to that?
Go back, yeah.
Okay.
So, do you want the in-person blurb in there, in the comments?
Cause I usually put that,
Do you think for next, are we taking it out?
we don't need it.
As
for
long as you
virtual.
have the alternate blurb in there.
Yeah.
the Alternate scheduled services, I think it's.
Cause this is for next year.
There's no alternate for next.
There's no
Oh, I'm
al,
sorry.
at this point, there's no alternate for next year. I'm
Okay,
thinking
so then-
it's,
Yeah,
it,
no, so
in
it's-
person is in
Meeting
person is in person.
Okay,
Okay, so are you good? Can I update now? Okay, so I'm updating. So please, in the comments, put resource or ELA combo. Now, if it is a resource student, it is double blocked. So at this time, we are still just gonna have that 850 minutes. Just
For ELA?
for, do you wanna go back down?
No, I just meant for ELA.
For ELA,
Okay,
for
say it
ELA.
one more
Yeah,
time.
because that's not gonna
In
change.
comments, you're gonna put resource or combo?
No,
What?
ELA will be blocked,
Right.
even in 7th grade. So
So
it's
it's
still
either
850 minutes and it's still direct.
50 minutes.
I can't show you, I mean, I could add it here, but do you want to see what it looks like if I add it on here?
850
850,
direct, once every 2 weeks.
yes.
Right.
Make sure the grade assigned by is special ed teacher. Make sure that the subject says English language arts, not reading, English language arts.
Doesn't that come from elementary when you see it say reading? Cause I just go in and change
But
it to
sometimes
EL.
it slides through to like,
Yes.
8th grade even.
But and sometimes it says English language arts / reading. Just take reading out. That doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
It's really not necessary. Go ahead and take out combination grading because
I
they,
don't use combination.
okay, and they don't want that in high school. So not that we're doing
Yeah, I think that
what's for high school, but it,
Yeah, you wanted to match.
you want it to match eventually most of the way through.
So what do we do, grade assigned by just gen ed?
Gen ed
Unless it's.
or
a resource.
sped if it's
It's
resource.
a resource, that, yeah, that's.
Yes.
That's kind of what I think.
Okay, math. This is where the biggest issue was. Okay, if they are resource, if they were 850 minutes, you please have to notate in the comments. Oh, this is let me just double check. Are we thinking that this student would be a math lab student?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna put math lab and minutes to be served across multiple days. Okay, it's still math. It's by a special ed teacher. It's direct, but when I go over to my minutes, it needs to say 425 every 2 weeks. Now the grade assigned is by a special ed teacher.
Yeah.
No matter what, when they go to 7th grade, there is no blocked math. So if they're in resource, it's 425 minutes. If they're in lab, it's 425 minutes. That is why it is so important that you put right here, because I can't, when I'm going through or Malden's going through or the counselors are going through, we can't sort based off of minutes. And so when I'm going through and they all have the same, then I have to figure out, wait, what did they actually want for this?
Yeah. So, because a math lab, they'll have a gen ed math class plus an extra math. They're actually double blocked in for math. That's the difference. So kids that are in my pullout will be probably math lab kids. Not my
Yes,
resource kids, but
yes,
my pullout.
yes.
Your pull-out gives
Yes,
you
so
the
if right now they're with Hollowell and they're receiving 120 minutes, 180 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is,
Right.
we don't do in-class minutes and we don't do like a few pull-out minutes. It's math
Right.
lab,
Right.
math lab. Because we have too many kids to try to, I mean, we're talking about 30-something kids to try to pull them. I mean, we do it in 6th grade, but that's because they're in double-blocked math. We are kind of
Hollowell,
stuck.
We have to pull them next year.
Well, I don't do seventh grade. But if
She
I
doesn't
were
do
in
7th grade, but yes.
I would, yeah.
They have a class,
Yeah.
like Peyton teaches
right.
their class.
So
So
Okay,
that would be one of their electives.
that is their elective.
Okay.
And it's gonna be 425.
Right.
I need to clarify, so
Okay.
if they're resource this year,
Yes,
they are going into resource next year.
Most of
And
them.
we put resource into the,
you're gonna put math resource right here in the comments, but it is still going to be 425 minutes. A lot of y'all's ARDs say 850,
Yeah.
so you did double. We've never had 7th grade double block math ever.
And if they have lab, it took me a while to use that, if they have lab, then the other, like half of that 850 minutes, which is not a big bulk, but it's a gen ed.
It's gonna be in the
lab.
gen ed.
Yes.
Yeah, so it would.
Where they're not getting that
They're gonna be
support.
in class,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna go to lab.
This Alfaro. Hey, yes. Okay.
So there's just not really standalone math minutes.
Is there a way that you could, that would work? Is there a way you could type me up an email and I could
And both
send it to the parent?
425.
Okay.
And they're both.
That way I-
the
in
same
Spanish.
setting, And they're both with the greatest.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good, right.
Bye.
It's just that
Okay,
one
so
was
my
in
number
math
is
lab,
wrong,
and
cause I
one
put the
was in
850 because I think
Yeah,
I told
yeah,
you in the year.
yeah, our numbers would be wrong.
If, and so again, there was a lot of minutes that were 850. There was a lot that were 120. So like they were 120 in 6th grade and they're 120 in 7th grade
For math.
for math.
And that's gonna be wrong.
And that's wrong too.
Right.
So pretty much all the math minutes were wrong.
Okay.
Do we know yet what's gonna happen with our, because if we go in and do a brief or whatever to change minutes, do we know yet what the minutes are gonna, our schedule is gonna be next year? Do you think we'll know in the next few weeks where we can do all these correctly one time?
I do, and that's a dream we all.
I think what we talked about, and we talked to Deborah, if we changed and went back to a modified block where we did block
Right.
2 days a week,
Yeah,
we're not gonna change minutes for all that. We'll just do it in their ARD as it comes next
Right.
year,
It'll be
because
like
the
that.
minutes aren't,
yeah.
they're off, but they're not off like crazy, and everybody in the school is doing it. So we're not giving them different services than the rest of the campus, but probably plan for it to not be the same as this year.
Do we need
But I
to-
don't know that for sure.
These changes will be briefs, not packs, right? If we're changing the coding, it'll be a brief.
Yes, and a lot of them were failures.
Right.
So you're just gonna add this in when you're doing a failure, or when you're changing it for the schedule of services, you can combine those and it can be a brief.
Right,
So because y'all had a lot of failures, so it's kind of killing two birds with one stone, that you're able to go back and fix this
yeah.
and failure. And then if there's a kid where you're like, okay, maybe they came from virtual January and you've tried to give them an opportunity, and they're still not being successful, and we need to talk about a placement change, this is your opportunity for that as well.
Okay.
Because if it changed PEEMS, you have to do, it has to be a
Are
brief.
we scheduling those with Howell?
Like
Yes,
for the ones we already.
probably
missed
so.
These minutes up on.
Yes.
We're gonna have to go back and fix that, so when are we fixing it if we've already had that hard?
Agree.
In a brief, and it'll have to be between now and the end of the school year. But not
And
tomorrow,
we-
don't
and-
worry
and-
about it
and
for
then-
next
and
week,
then
like.
We tell Ms. Howard?
Yes, and she's already aware that this is probably going to be happening, so it's not like you're gonna have to go explain to her,
So,
hey.
But we do call parents and do.
Yes,
the
and it
same
won't be,
process.
we won't have to do it hard. We're not doing annuals for any of them. It truly is a brief. So if we can get the parent on the phone and agree to it, then we can kind of do a quick,
Keep moving.
yes. Because in reality, most of them are truly clerical errors. Like, they're not,
Yeah, but the paperwork has to be.
the paperwork has to be right, but I mean, they're not wrong because they're wrong, but they're not like,
Right. We didn't redo anything.
they're not necessarily getting different schedules per se.
Right.
You intended for them to still be in resource, but
Right.
they're not in the right,
Yeah, yeah,
it's too many minutes.
right.
So like, that would be like over 4 weeks versus 2 weeks. Okay,
So for math lab minutes to be served over multiple, so what would the resource say?
math resource.
Math
And it's
resource,
the
math to be
same
served
thing.
over multiple days,
Right.
okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna update that.
okay.
For this student, like, she isn't gonna have dyslexia, so I need to take that off. So just make sure, like,
Okay.
if it's a dyslexia student, like, we
So
knew
hers
that she was
already
gonna be
said it was not.
dismissed.
Gotcha.
I need to take that off. I need to take the consult minutes off, cause I know she's,
We'll address it in.
The deliberations.
Because we have, you know, the input from the dyslexia committee. Hey, I was just about to message you, don't come in and interrupt the meeting for one thing.
I'm totally interrupting your whole meeting.
But she's already turned them in.
okay, so we're just making sure that that math is addressed and the ELA is addressed. Math minutes are gonna be direct, cause they're either in the resource class or they're in the math lab class, so that is direct. Does anybody have, and again, make sure we're, calculate the instructional arrangement, and yes, they do get to share, their day is commiserate with their peers.
If we're putting support in science and social studies, 60 minutes a week, is that, or 60 minutes every 2 weeks?
Yes,
something like that?
yes, so do about 30 minutes a week in science and social studies, because probably they're gonna get more than that, but in case
Right,
they don't, I mean, when we're talking about 70 kids, 80 kids in a grade level, and there's one of us trying to give those minutes, like for 7th grade, or even 2 of you in 6th grade, it's hard to get all those minutes, and I physically can't get to all those places. I mean, it's just, so yes, so do about 30 minutes a week.
okay. What else?
425 is our maximum. And then we save.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, and then make sure that their accommodations are good to go, that you shouldn't really need to change them
They all just pulled over.
because they pulled
And then
over.
the current page, correct?
Yes, and if there is something that you're like, oh yeah, in 7th grade they need that, I don't know, really, we don't have any of that, where they need something in 7th grade that they didn't need in 6th grade, but if for some reason you think they do,
So in seventh, so we wanna put in 7th grade, cause, you know, they do writing, so do we do some spelling assistance?
Yes.
or
yes,
If they
those
need
types
that.
of things?
yes, if they need spelling assist. So this student really probably does, because she does receive, or she has been receiving, supplement, or, I'm sorry, MTA. I was like, what am I, oh, what is that? Just specify out. Because they can use their iPad spell check.
Right, right. And most of these accommodations are built in if they're online. And
All of them
they're
pretty much are.
online
They
anyway.
have to be like checked, which is
Yes.
why we document